Before we begin, thank you very much to a nerd. Just a nerd for joining the Patreon campaign. We've started this month off with like a little mini streak. It's kind of funny, like everyone just decided to be generous at the beginning of the month, and I do appreciate that. Thank you very, very much. I'm not hyperbolizing when I say that this is the reason I can keep making videos every day for you guys, right? If I don't have that support, I can't really do this. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for letting me keep being this nerd on the internet for you. So, a couple weeks ago, we asked, how do you prefer your Optimus Prime's mouth? Do you want to see it at all times? Do you want him to have a battle mask? Or do you want him to have the faceplate 24/7? You mouth primes, I don't know what to call you. I don't know what to call you. You didn't show out. There's only 2 of you. Keep in mind, most Beast Wars Optimus Primes don't have a faceplate. He only showed it twice in this first season, and very brief occasions. Everything after that, season 2 and 3, full mouth all the time. So keep in mind what you might have voted against here. But a mouth with a battle mask does seem to be the winner by about 12 or so percent. I get that. And I guess when my favorite Prime design does have that option, I guess I don't really have any excuse to go with it. I kind of figured it would be a split between the two. Like always with the mouth was just, and also there's this option. So, you know what? I will accept it. I will accept it. It's an easy solution, right? You know, because if you want your traditional look, you just flip the mask up. It does get annoying when the toys have to choose one or the other, but beyond that, at least as far as in fiction, it's good to see both, just in case there are things you can't do with a mouth plate. It does make you wonder why Soundwave doesn't have a mouth, but we'll get into that another day. For now, we need another debate, and this one, I'm going to admit, I think I pretty much know. Like, this one's something of a challenge toward myself. I basically know how this is going to go down, but I want to see if I can't sway you just a little bit to kind of make this more of an even 50-50 debate. Your debate for this topic: who's got the better cassettes, Soundwave or Blaster? Now again, we will fully acknowledge right up front, Soundwaves are far more iconic, mostly because Soundwave himself is more iconic. He was in the franchise first. He's got the more recognizable cassettes that they have used more throughout fiction since then. He's going to have an edge here. But we're going to try to look at this objectively. And we are going to be looking strictly at G1 cassettes, vintage cassettes. You know, they have to have come out in the 80s. Because I know almost every one of these molds has gotten repaints or retools, or they've flipped sides, or there's some that are on both sides. You know, it's gone all over the place with these molds, so we're going to keep it calm. We're just going to keep it to just the main G1 cast of cassettes. So, let's start with the ones where they have equals, or at least they have ones that work well opposite each other. That starts with Ravage. This is our favorite saboteur. Okay, so he's fast, he's stealthy, he can put up a fight when he needs to. He usually ends up fighting smaller things. He'll fight Bumblebee, he'll fight Spike, but, you know, against a normal Transformer, not a threat. Most of the cassettes aren't. He is made for getting in, getting something done, usually like a retrieval task, and then getting out. And he's the best at getting in and out without getting spotted. So, important, especially for Soundwave, who's the information gatherer. Meanwhile, you got Steeljaw, who does provide a little bit of extra muscle to Blaster's ensemble. He doesn't get to perform a similar function to Ravage. He seems to have more advantage in firepower and just strength over him. Just being a bigger cat, being a lion compared to a jaguar, yeah, That's how it works in the wild, too. Jaguar is faster, lion's tougher. But yeah, they play off of each other pretty well. I think it's very telling that both have received repaints opposite of each other that kind of flip the script on them. You know, like there is such thing as a black Steeljaw, Night Prowler. You know, so he's been on that side too. So yeah, we can kind of see. Okay, so they have equivalents on that side. The obvious ones, the obvious ones are robot cassettes, starting with the blue one and the red one. So no matter which one you call which, Rumble and Frenzy are also kind of iconic. Rumble more so in the cartoon when he's in the one in the cartoon's named Rumble. I'm going with that. Don't at me. Point being, they are far more used, and because the Decepticons are a much thinner cast of characters in Season 1 compared to the Autobots, it's actually pretty common to see Rumble and, Rumble out of Soundwave and acting as another ground troop for the Decepticons. Also, they talk. They're the only ones from Soundwave's cassettes that actually talk, at least as far as the cartoon goes. In the comic books, they can all talk. But cartoon-wise, we're only used to hearing Rumble and Frenzy. That's the advantage Steeljaw has over Ravage. Steeljaw can talk. But that said, we do have a perfect equivalent here. So we have Eject and we have Rewind. No confusion over who is who here. Now, I know Rewind is the darling because of IDW. We are not going to account for that. What I would say, as far as like cassettes go, I do think these are better engineered and figured out, because they still work really, they look really good. They have good proportions as robot toys, better than this, so like this looks fine. The slumping shoulders, like there are no shoulders. He just has wide pecs and then drooping arms. There's no division there. There needs to be some kind of division here. Kind of brings something accurate. There's a level of accuracy I don't think anyone's ever pointed out to. Those spools are supposed to be his shoulders. They are not. Not in animation, at least. Someone gave me accurate Rumble and Frenzy where the spools are in the shoulders. Point being, I do think these cast a better silhouette as robots. Maybe not as fun characters because they don't do anything neat like the pile drivers, but still, overall, I do think they cast a better toy. I think they cast a better robot than the Decepticon variations. Now, there's no equivalent on Blaster's side for Laserbeak, which is unfortunate because Laserbeak is among the most iconic of all of the cassettes, and Buzzsaw is the one that you got free with Soundwave. So if you had Soundwave back in the day, you at least had Buzzsaw. That would make him one of the most common ones. Aerial, jet propelled, these are actually capable of combat because they are flight worthy. And this is, of course, Autobots. They don't fly, and they certainly don't fly after things this small. It's like a mosquito buzzing around. If it lands on you, you could swat it, but if it's in the air, it's annoying, and it's difficult to hit. But this time, the mosquito is also armed with twin laser cannons, so these actually present a threat of just strafe run blasting Autobots. Laserbeak was the first one to nearly kill Optimus Prime. Let's remember that. And then if you read the Marvel comics, we know how strong Buzzsaw can be. So yeah, we don't underestimate these two. It would be foolish not to. Blaster does not have much aerial support. What he has is power on the ground. Ramhorn gives you something that the other animal cassettes don't have, which is just straight up durability. He is a walking tank, carrying missile launchers on the sides, no less. For Ramhorn, again, speaking. Laserbeak, Buzzsaw, cartoon, no speaking. He provides something a little bit different, something that like an element of raw power and strength that the others do not have. And the durability is a huge factor. Like in the cartoon, we literally see Rumble fall apart in one episode. That's SOS Dinobots. Yes, I'm that much of a geek. I remember what episode it happened. But that said, Ramhorn does provide muscle, which the other ones kind of can't, which makes him a little bit more unique. Now, we might be able to move into muscle if we move into the characters who didn't appear on the show, but still have equivalents on both sides. So, for instance, we can talk about Beast Box, the Soundwave's personal pocket-sized gorilla. Yes, and he is a grape ape, if you haven't noticed. So, it's interesting to see another humanoid shape out of these cassettes. It's becoming the most common one. And it looks fine. It looks fine. He makes a pretty good little ground unit. The anti-air angle on his rockets is a nice touch. And yeah, looks good. Looks good. Partner Squawk Talk also looking good. I have told story more than once about how important these two are for me and like formative as a child. Like I really, really liked these two. And I like Squawk Box as a combined mode too. The head's a little bit high, but it is a neat set of figures. Like, it's super cool that they can do it. It's super cool that they are basically normal Soundwave cassettes that can actually transform into this as well. So you're getting a ton of playability that you otherwise wouldn't get. Now, Blaster can compete, but this is a little bit awkward. This is a little bit awkward. So you've got Grand Slam, who doesn't have a beast mode, doesn't have a robot mode. He has a tank mode. And the tank's a little bit weird because it has to be so small, but it is obviously very well armed, give it that. And the partner being Rain Dance, a little jet. Now they don't have fiction where they have like spoken word. They don't have animation where they have spoken words. So I can't judge on that. These two, I don't believe had independent voices even in the comic books, because I think they were just added in by the UK run. But the point being is, this is a little bit more divisive. So the combined mode, I would say, looks pretty good. It's a little bit awkward looking, just because like his torso kind of looks like it's floating behind his belly. But it's overall not a bad look. Like, he's definitely a lot better form, just like silhouette-wise, than Squawk Box. This one, it would be a tipping point for a lot, because is it weird and wrong for his cassettes to not have these sentient animal or robot modes? Or is it giving him a level of novelty and versatility that Soundwave lacks? Soundwave doesn't have any vehicular cassettes. Closest he had was a drone unit that we got to see in one episode of the cartoon, which I believe was Changing Gears. I am a nerd. Oh my God, how did I get a girlfriend? So, I'm kidding. So, Slam Dance here does look cool. Whether or not he is cooler than the Decepticon set is really going to depend on how you feel about the novelty of having two vehicular cassettes rather than the usual animals. Now, speaking of usual animals, Soundwave does, at least in the cartoon, hold a numbers advantage because he has cassettes Blaster has no answer for, like Ratbat. This is, again, someone who can be a spy and information gatherer and can work differently than the likes of Laserbeak. Laserbeak does jet propulsion. Ratbat tends to fly like an actual bat. How he does that when he's made of metal, I don't know. But the point being is, it means he can fly in directions and atmospheres that Laserbeak may not be best suited for. Whereas like Laserbeak flies like a jet, these guys fly more like actual bats that can like move in more more versatile directions. And I know that holds true sometimes to Laserbeak. It's a little bit different, but like the point is, he has advantage over Laserbeak. The rockets help too. If you need like flying ordnance, he can provide. We also do not have an answer to the Dino cassettes that appeared in Call of the Primitives. So Overkill, I have always loved. Who's not going to love a little pocket-sized T-Rex? Little horns on his nose, it's kind of cute. Who's not going to love that? Who's not going to love that? Slam Dance is a little bit lower on the list just because like the pink and olive green is a weird color mix. He looks kind of toxic and not in a good way, like in a Karen way. But still, Dino Cassettes. It was super cool and super weird that Soundwave got him and Blaster didn't, which basically boils down to the fact that in the US, Soundwave was just the far more popular toy between the two. They tried to keep it equal. They tried to release cassettes for Soundwave and Blaster, but in this case, no. Blaster never got like an equivalent to these two dinos. Unless you go to Japan. Now, to this point, yeah, I can make an argument why Blaster's cassettes do have advantages over Soundwaves, whether that is in fiction or in the actual toys themselves, to try and counteract the fact that the Soundwave crew is just way more iconic and popular. But this is where we have to be a little bit more objective, because once we interject a few of the Japanese releases, Blaster's numbers start overwhelming, and now we start getting into other cool bots. Look at Dial here. I really like this cassette. He doesn't look like he makes a cassette. If you look at that beast mode, like, yeah, he's definitely a transformer, but outside of one gap, like in his hip, I can't see where the transformer is. I can't see where the cassette is. He's just a neat little dino man, and he's very, very neat for it. I like this one a lot. Like, independent of anything else he does, I think he's a good one. I think he's one of the best ones. I've spoken highly of him when we've talked cassettes before. And he's got a partner, Zor, who, again, it's a brontosaurus. Like, it's hard to get wrong here. Cassette's a little rough. I'm not going to lie. Cassette's a little bit rough. But still, you can't go wrong with dinosaurs, right? You can't go wrong with dinosaurs. And now we're 2 for 2, but Blaster's got more. We have Graffy. Here's your answer to Ratbat, because we've got flapping wing motions again. So, yeah, a Pteranodon. Little Pteranodon trying very hard not to copy Ratbat's shtick. I think he's doing a decent enough job at it, considering he's also going to have to be a set of legs. And then there's Noise, who really is the answer to Overkill, isn't he? It's an Allosaurus instead of a Tyrannosaurus. I do think it's a little bit better formed. I think just the practice from the first attempt does let them be a little bit more informed for the second. Cool figure. Cool figure again. Now, on sheer numbers, now Blaster has the edge. And remember, these also combine. So you have 1 combiner on the Decepticons versus 3 on the Autobots. Now, granted, Decibel looks like this. And Leg Out looks like this. So we're going to be nice to them. We are going to acknowledge them for how good their individual modes are, and acknowledge that these are definitely, as combiners, not as good looking as Slam Dance and Squawk Box, but they try. They try. The option's there, and good on them for at least keeping the option there. So yeah, Blaster does have a few edges here, but is it enough to overcome how iconic Soundwave's crew are? That is your debate for this episode. So, as always with the debates, you can check the description of this video for a link to a straw poll site where you can leave your vote. Please, by all means, go and click. Try to be as objective as possible. Let me know who's got the best crew of cassettes. We're not looking for like, oh, well, Ratbat's my favorite, so I voted for Soundwave. No. Try to be objective. Who legitimately has the best crew of cassettes when you look at them as a whole? You know, Soundwave's got more iconic, but maybe more repaints in there. Blaster has a lot more, but maybe a lot more you're not familiar with. So the balance is there. It's up to you to determine which side it falls on. So that's your mission. And yeah, in a couple of weeks, we'll do another one of these, and I'll let you know how it went. Thank you all for watching. I will see you next time.
Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday/early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.